This is Jim Gessel, and we're in the home of Mr. Dale William Hackett. This is, what is today? This is
16th.
September 16th, 2002. This is our first in a series of interviews for the Apple Creek Historical Society. Mr. Larry Hackett is here with me and is running the camcorder, and Mr. Hackett and Mrs. Hackett is here. And could I ask you your first, last, and maiden name?
Maiden name, Dorothy Lucille.
Dorothy?
Oh, Dorothy Lucille
Layton.
Layton.
How do you spell Layton?
Layton.
Layton.
Ah.
It's been so long since I've used that, I couldn't remember it.
Dorthey or what?
Dorothy.
Ah,
Dorothy.
Dorothy.
Right.
Thank you. I would have missed that if I hadn't asked. And then, what was your middle name again? And how do you?
Lucille.
L-U?
Cille.
Ah, beautiful. Okay. All right. And may I ask when you were married?
1937.
Okay.
The what?
When we were married. 1937.
Yeah, 37.
Yeah, it's been we celebrate our 65th wedding anniversary this year.
65th, okay. I'll put 65th here. Okay. I can get your address afterwards here. I've got your date of birth. Could I ask, Dale, what were your parents' name? Your father and mother?
My father's name was Aquila.
How do you
My mother's name was Lizzie.
could
Lizzie
you
Bus Hackett and Aquila Elmer Hackett.
A-Q-U-I.
A-Q-U-I
LLA.
L-L-A.
L-L-A, yeah.
Aquila, what was his middle name?
Oh.
Elmer.
Elmer. E-L-M-E-R. And Lizzie, was that short for Elizabeth?
No, I don't. Lizzie. I don't know what he really. She was born in Switzerland, so I don't know. When they come over, they didn't have any translation for some of the names.
Okay.
So he was always going by Lizzie, L-I-Z-Z-Y.
Okay, Lizzie Bus was her maiden
Lizzie Bus.
name?
Yeah.
Do you remember her?
Related to Willie Bus.
Yeah. Do you remember, do you know what her maiden name was? Just out of curiosity, what she was before she was married?
No, I don't.
Your
Okay.
mom's maiden name? What was your mom's maiden name
Oh,
before she married?
Bus. It was.
Yeah, but
Okay, Lizzie Butts, right?
Yeah.
Lizzie Butts, you
Yeah.
said. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. All right, I'm sorry. And Aquila Elmer. Okay, very good. I'm going to jump off my one page and go to another with start of the questions, if that's okay. And then maybe I'll come back and ask you a few more of these others. First of all, Mr. Hackett, what are your memories, what are your earliest memories of life here in East Union Township?
Really, I was born and raised in Salt Creek Township.
Born and raised in Salt Creek, okay.
Yeah, but the line is up here. You know where that rest place is on 250.
Yes.
Yeah, the line crosses the road there.
Okay.
And, we lived on the first house up, fifth farm up on the left side of the road from there.
Did you, the first road, is it that crossroad?
Yeah, the crossroad goes to Maysville.
Yes.
Then you go on up
Then
over
there's
the
another,
hill.
okay.
There's the second, right at the top of the second
Top
hill.
of that second hill,
Yeah.
okay. So you,
Is where I was born and raised.
okay.
Vernon Shop lives there now.
And the township line was just back of our house.
Okay,
The East Union Salt Creek Township line.
okay. What do you, when you were a child then, what do you remember? Or what types of things, childhood memories do you have?
Oh, not a whole lot, other than I can't remember much of anything about. We had a good sized family. I had, what was it? Three brothers, or two brothers and four sisters, and we all got along very good together as a family.
Where were you in birth order? Like, were you oldest or middle, or how were you? Were your sisters older, or who was oldest and who was youngest?
Who's that?
Of your family, who was the oldest, and or where were you at?
Verda, that is Evelyn Cunningham's mother, was the oldest.
Okay. And where did you come in? What child were you?
I was about 10 years younger than she.
Okay, about 10
Well,
years.
there were, you see, there was Verda, and
Then I
Mary
had
and
another
Nelson.
sister who was about 10 years younger than me.
Okay, that's a big span, isn't
I
it?
think he was the next. I think he was next to the bottom.
Yeah. I
So
know.
you were next to the youngest then.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do you remember playing games when you were a child? Or what did you remember doing things for what's anything for fun? Is anything like that?
Oh, we played a lot of games as kids, kids games.
Mhm.
And then we had a croquet set at home.
Okay.
We played a lot of that.
Okay. Did you play it when relatives came, or did you just play
Well,
it as family?
A lot of times, just us kids played it together.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you have to work a lot when you were young?
Oh, yeah, we worked on a farm, an 80-acre farm, so we had work to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of chores to do, like when it comes to feeding time for feeding stock. I always helped with that.
Mm-hmm. You remember
when I was old enough to do it.
Uh-huh. So your father was a farmer.
Yeah, he was a farmer and a carpenter.
And a carpenter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There at the crossroad there, you go to Maysville, that old filling station that's there,
Mm-hmm.
he built that. He built the house right next to it.
Mhm.
And there was one right across the street. He
Mm-hmm.
built that one too.
Do you remember, or was that before you were born?
No, that was, I remember that.
You can remember him building
Yeah.
those then.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a filling station, so that really was a filling station there then. I mean, the building looks like a filling station, but I can't remember it that far back.
Yeah, like it was built, at least 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then there's a pond right to the east of the house there,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a fountain that feeds that.
Okay. Is that why they call it Fountain Nook?
Well, there's fountains all around there.
Okay.
There's one right across the street where that one house is. Then the catty corner across the intersection, there's another one, and then the house just west of that, there's one, and the farm toward Maysville, just where you go around the curve there,
Mm-hmm.
that very strong fountain there.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Would
always,
it-
as long as I can remember, that's been running very strong.
Would it shoot up out of the ground, or did it just roll over?
No, they drilled the well.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The Tracy at Maysville, I think, drilled the well for those.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you remember as a child your mom making meals, your food?
Oh yes, I think she baked her own bread. I'll tell you that. And I can just remember one time that Nichols Bakery started a route, a delivery route for bread, and I can just remember that a little bit. But the most of the stuff that she worked with came off the farm.
Mhm.
And raised off it was in the garden.
So you would grind your own wheat to make the bread then? Or
No, she bought the flour for that.
bought the flour, but yet
Yeah.
all the vegetables and the...
Yeah, the
Mhm.
vegetables and that stuff was raised on the farm.
Mhm. Did you eat your own meat, your chickens,
Yeah.
and butcher the
And
hogs?
chickens and hogs. Very seldom we had beef. Very seldom. Mostly chicken and hogs.
Why seldom beef? Did you sell the beef, or just...
No, we didn't raise beef.
Oh, didn't raise beef?
No, we sold milk.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the funny part of it was the milk that we sold went to Akron.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
So how did it get from your farm to Akron?
We would cool it,
Okay.
and then years later, Clyde Bus. Well, at first, my brother, with a team of horses and a wagon, hauled it to Apple Creek, and they loaded it onto the freight train,
Okay.
and that way they shipped it to Akron.
That is
And
amazing.
then Clyde Bus later on got a truck, and he did that. He gathered it up at the farms and hauled it to Akron.
Okay. But the early memories are team of horses took the milk to Apple Creek and then put it on
They
the
always
train.
carried ice with it to keep it cool.
Okay. How did you keep it cool on the farm?
By water.
So you had a spring house where the water.
Yeah, we pump water out of the well
Mm-hmm.
and into a vat and cool it that way.
Okay. How did you pump the water?
Well, at first just used a gasoline engine.
Okay, gasoline engine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when we got electricity, we used electric motor.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know if you used windmill, but I guess gasoline, like
No.
little small gasoline
Yeah.
engine then.
A small gasoline engine is what
Mhm.
we used.
Okay. These are the kind of interesting things that,
Yeah.
that we want to get down. This is great.
Yeah, see, we didn't have electricity out there until in the middle 20s.
Okay. That's pretty early though, isn't it? I mean
Yeah.
that's yeah, so electricity in the middle 20s then.
Yeah.
How did that change your life?
Oh, I don't know if I can say it changed my life very much, but it was more convenient than otherwise.
Mm-hmm. What did your family buy that ran on electricity first, or what was some of the first things that you bought that used
I
electricity?
think the first thing we did was wire the house. It
Okay.
wasn't wired.
So then
for
you used
electricity.
lights then? Lights were
Yeah,
the first
for
thing?
lights. And then probably the next thing was to put an electric line to the pump.
Okay. All right. Get that water moving. That's important.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's another thing. We didn't have inside plumbing in the house.
Okay.
The only thing I can remember of that we had on the inside was just a pitcher pump that was connected to a cistern on the outside. And we just pumped the water in from that.
Was that to wash dishes or to wash
No, that
your
was by hand.
What did you use the water you pumped from the cistern for?
That was just to wash your hands.
Just wash your hands
Yeah.
and face and things like that,
Yeah.
right?
And heat to wash dishes.
Okay. So you heated that water to wash your dishes then, or
Yeah.
your mom did,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We had the old tile cook stove.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we had. We either burn wood or coal in it.
Okay. So you burned wood or coal just to
Yeah.
make your meal,
Yeah.
and then to heat the water afterwards to do the dishes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where did you get the coal from? Where did that come from?
There was a coal bank over southeast of Maysville,
Mm-hmm.
and we sometimes got it there. But there was another coal bank just south of Apple Creek up there, but that wasn't quite as good a coal as the other coal was. So most generally we used the one over southeast of Maysville.
What about the coal wasn't as good? Why was one better?
It was, evidently was a softer type coal.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't burn quite. It didn't heat quite as well.
Sparky Mullen said he used to work in this one south of Apple Creek. Did you ever get around the coal mines, or did you just go?
Personally, I was quite young at that time, and I didn't get there. No.
Now, when your family was going from place to place traveling, was it horse and buggy as when you were young?
Yeah, horse and buggy. That's how we got to church and every place.
Okay. Where did you go to church at?
Apple Creek.
In Apple Creek, the Methodist church, or
the Reformed Church.
okay,
United, yeah.
yeah, okay.
United Church of Christ. No.
So to get to church on Sunday morning, the family got in the buggy or buggies
Yeah.
and then went on into town to Apple
Yeah.
Creek.
Yeah, and in there at the church at that time, they had a place so you could keep your horse inside of a little enclosure there in bad weather,
Okay.
and so the horse was in good, taken care of real good at that
Okay.
time.
That's what was your horse's names?
No, I can't tell you that.
Okay.
That was a long time ago.
I understand. I just didn't know if there was a favorite one or not. And then you would have done the plowing the fields and things like that with
Yeah,
horses at
yeah.
the beginning too then?
Yeah, and I can remember very well going to school. I had about a mile to walk to school,
And where was your
to
school?
grade school. At Johnson School, I don't know, just on up the road, the first crossroad, it's on, I guess it's Mount Hope Road now,
Hmm.
where Mount Hope Road and Moreland Road crosses.
Okay.
That's the school I went to.
Mount Hope and Moreland. Mount Hope would be up on top of
It's
the
a
hill to
yellow
the
brick,
right.
yellow brick school.
There's a school there now, isn't
Yeah,
there? So
yeah, the Amish run it now.
yeah, so that was that the same building?
Yeah,
that
same
was there?
building.
Is that right?
Mhm.
And then did you go all your school there?
8 years.
8 years. So from when you were first grade.
Yeah, that's what I can't quite understand. One teacher took 8 grades, all the subjects of the one grade,
Hmm.
to teach, taught all those grades.
And so she would be with the first graders for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then second. And
Yeah.
what was your teacher's name?
Well, we had different teachers.
Okay.
We had lady teachers and we had men teachers.
Like how often would you get a new teacher?
Well, maybe every 2 or 3 years, maybe.
Okay. Was any of them a favorite teacher? I mean,
No, I don't. I can't say that there were.
okay. All right. Did any of them you really dislike?
No, I can't remember back that far.
Well, that's fine. So you would walk then from your farm down
Yeah,
to your school.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd go cross country part way across our fields, and our land was right along 250 there, and we had a lane that goes back to our woods, which was cleared back in the southeast corner of our farm, and I would walk that lane back to that road, that Moreland Road, and walk it to school.
Okay. I'm just going to check, make sure everything's looking all right. Yep, red light's on, and we're counting down. Looks good. What were the roads like back then?
Well, 250 wasn't even paved at that time.
Okay, so it was just a dirt road then?
Yeah, it was just a dirt road.
Do you remember
Yeah,
it? Did it get
nine-
really bad?
1926, I think it was, when they paved it.
Okay, and what did they put down? Did it?
It was a brick road then.
Okay,
It was a cement-based brick road.
so in 1926 they put the brick road.
Yeah.
How far did they go? Like past
From
Mount Eden?
Apple Creek to the Paint Township line.
Okay.
That's about a mile and a half beyond where the farm was. Where 250 makes the curve there. There's a bridge right there. Right about just beyond that bridge, a little ways, is where it went to then. And then I don't know when they finished it on to Mount Eden. I can't tell you.
When they did that to Apple Creek, did that make a big difference?
Oh,
These might be dumb questions.
That's another thing.
Okay.
The road from Apple Creek to Worcester, when I can remember, was only paved on half of it.
Okay.
And then up there at the Bannersville, where Bannersville Road crosses, they switch it from one side of the road to the other.
Really?
Yeah,
Why would they wonder why they did that?
the township line probably.
Now Bantersville, is that at Honeytown? Or which is
Franklin Road, yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
and you're
they-
right, that's Franklin Township.
Yeah, Franklin and Worcester Township.
Okay. Because I think I remember, was that the Banterville School that's right there on about 2 houses
Yeah.
up there?
You know
the
where
school.
Ikers live.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just that crossroad, just toward Apple Creek
Yeah.
from Ikers.
Okay.
That's where they changed.
I haven't heard that name in a long time, but when you said that, it registered because that's where I grew up out there, and I remember Doyle
Yeah,
calling it
well,
Banterville.
Maybe you knew a good friend of mine who went to Apple Creek High School. Brennan,
What was his first name?
Herman.
Herman? No, afraid I don't know him.
He probably was a little older than. He'd been about my age. So.
Okay. That reminds me, I forgot to bring some pictures tonight. Maybe another night we can stop by and show you some old pictures and get some talk on that. So you said that, well, going back to your mother, and father in your house, they probably heated the house then with coal and wood, like in the wintertime?
In my early life, we just had a wood stove that we heated the house with.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, Dad bought a furnace and we put it in the basement.
Okay.
And, and we heated it with wood or coal then.
And the schoolhouse, would that have been just a, how did they heat the schoolhouse?
They had, well, let's see, they had a furnace in it.
Okay.
Yeah, down in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
That we heated the schoolhouse with.
When you did your schoolwork, did you do it on paper with pencils or with chalkboards, or do you remember that?
No, whenever your class was called to session, they had a bench up there in the front of the school, in front of the other students, and that class would go up there, and the teacher would teach them there, and have their section there.
I've seen pictures of people sitting in the corner that were bad with the dunce cap on. Is that was that real, or is that?
No, I've never had anything
happened?
like that.
Okay. All right. Did you ever take an apple to school for your teacher or anything like that?
They probably did. I don't know.
Okay.
Probably so.
I just wondered. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. And you said your father was a carpenter then too.
Yeah. When my mother and father were first married, he worked up in Akron at one of the rubber companies as a carpenter.
Did they live in Akron then?
Yeah, they lived in Akron then at that time.
Okay.
Then I don't know just how soon after that, but it was around 1900 they moved to the farm up here.
Okay.
Because my sister was born up here, I think, and she was born in 1901.
1901, and you were born in 1911, so you were born there also then too.
10 years.
Okay. Now your wife was, your mother was a bus. So does that mean the buses were in Akron too, or were the buses out here?
No, they lived on a farm up around Mount Eaton.
Okay.
And then they bought, they moved down here, right the next farm to where my father was raised.
Okay.
And I guess that's how they met. I don't know, but I'd imagine that's it.
Where was your father raised, just out of curiosity?
As far as I know, it was up here on the farm.
Okay, on that particular farm.
Yeah, see,
So-
my grandfather was a Revolutionary War soldier.
Okay.
And he whenever he was discharged, he bought a section of land, and I've often wondered how he paid for that land, and I think that was probably their pay that they didn't receive whenever they were in the service. They gave them land in place of it.
Okay. Now, was that Revolution or Civil War?
I think it was the
It
Revolutionary.
was actually Revolutionary War. Okay. So he fought in the Revolution
Yeah, he's buried up here in this little cemetery.
at Tracy Cemetery.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I was there not too long ago, just kind of looking
Yeah,
around.
they had put a flag there every year for him.
That's what was your grandfather's name then?
Yeah.
What was his name?
William.
William Hackett.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're thinking he might have received a tract of land or farm as partial payment for his service.
I think they gave them the land for $2 an acre, and he bought a section of it, which would be 640 acres.
Amazing. Okay. Did he pass, are there any stories about the Revolutionary War that he passed on down that you ever heard of?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Did you know him? I mean, was he alive when you were
Not
alive?
very well, no. I just barely remember whenever he died. Just barely.
Okay. That's very interesting. So your father was a carpenter too, and he was a carpenter in Akron,
Yeah.
and then did some part-time.
Yeah, he did a lot of carpenter work after he moved on the farm too for different people who knew he was a carpenter, and he did a lot of carpenter work for them.
Okay. About school, was there any school pranks? Like, did anybody pull any jokes on anybody that you could remember?
Not that I can remember. No.
Okay, school must have been pretty
No.
okay for you then, right?
Yeah, we in the grade school, we always had our recess and the noontime off, and we played games of different kinds. Probably most generally when we got older, it was ball.
So it would be like a baseball or softball then?
Like a baseball.
Okay, so that was popular then even.
Yeah.
Okay. How about dating? What was dating like? Maybe I ought to ask your wife to leave the room.
We could probably go to a movie or something like that.
Okay.
That would be it.
How far would you have to go to a movie though?
Well, most generally to Worcester.
To Worcester. Now would that have been horse and
Yeah,
buggy?
At that time, when at that age, we had a car, and I was able to drive some.
Do you remember what the car was? Like, was it a?
I don't. I think one time we had an Oakland touring car.
Okay.
Another time it was a Chevy two-door. I think it was.
Okay. I like old cars. Does anything about the cars come to mind, or?
No. There is one thing that kind of amuses me. When the railroad was in Apple Creek, in operation there at Apple Creek yet, there's a family lived southwest of Apple Creek there, the name of Gordon,
Okay.
and they had a touring car. I think it was an Oakland touring car. The type had the spare tire on the back, and they the guy, one of the kids was driving at one time. He was going to try to beat the
train?
and it took the spare tire off of the back of the car.
Oh, it was that close then.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So it was almost a wreck, but it
Almost.
just clipped the spare tire then.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's scary.
Yeah,
Listen, I'm sorry, I
that was
can't
close.
hear you right now. Could you call tomorrow who it was?
Okay.
I didn't know who it was. I couldn't hear what.
So dating was going to Worcester for a movie then, or that was one thing. Do you remember types of movies? Your first movies that you saw?
I don't remember. Probably it was westerns.
Okay.
Most generally it was at that time.
And were they talkies or were they silent? The first ones you remember?
They were silent movies with the words on the screen.
Okay. Was there somebody that played the piano there? I mean, I've seen shows where they.
There was somebody played some music of some kind.
Okay.
At times, not the whole time.
Okay.
At times.
So, would you go get something to eat afterwards, or do you think you'd just come straight home?
No, I don't remember of going to eat. We didn't have much money to spend at that time.
Do you remember how much a movie cost?
No, I don't. I have no idea. Probably was just a quarter or something like that.
That's amazing. I asked you about cars. How far, traveling wise, would your family ever go any great distances? Would you go?
I think the farthest we ever went as a family was to Worcester.
Okay.
That would have been about 12 miles.
What types of things would the family go to Worcester to do?
Well, to do, usually to do some shopping of some kind.
Okay. Like a grocery store, or was it clothes shopping?
Both, maybe clothes, to buy clothes and do some some grocery shopping. Most generally did the grocery shopping at Apple Creek.
Okay. Now, would this be in the car, or would this be in the horse and buggy, or both?
Be horse and buggy days.
Horse and buggy days. So that would be quite a trip from out here
yeah,
to Worcester.
It would.
And was it? Can you remember? Was it exciting or fun to go to the big town, or were you didn't like it?
Well, I don't remember how many of us was involved. That I can't tell you.
You remember Worcester? What was Worcester like back then?
No. I just remember a little bit about Madison Hill. They didn't have it all paved whenever I first remember about it. But one time, after we had a car, Dad was driving, and he wasn't used to driving very well, and they were working on the road, had about half of it paved, and had a ditch right along the edge of the paved part, and he broke a wheel on the car.
Oh no, that would be a wooden wheel then,
Yeah,
right?
a wooden wheel.
Okay. So do you remember having to jack it up and change the wheel
Now,
then?
he
Or?
had to call. Gordon Slicker was the dealer with the car at the time. He had to call him down to fix it.
Is that right? And then
Yeah.
they came and fixed it then.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Do you remember growing up holidays? Were there special holidays? Christmas?
We did a little. Christmas was the biggest one, I think,
Mm-hmm.
but a little bit on the others too. Yeah, we'd in the 4th of July and so on. Maybe we'd have a few firecrackers we'd shut off,
Okay.
something like that. But other than that, Thanksgiving and Christmas was the big ones.
Did did relatives come over for Christmas or
Oh,
Thanksgiving?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Usually family gathering.
I've heard tell of. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I've heard tell of Christmas trees having candles on them back in the old
Oh.
days. That's what you remember too then?
Yeah, we always. I think we always had a Christmas tree of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I can remember.
Do you remember any special presents that you gave or got?
No,
Long time ago.
a long time ago.
4th of July. Did you said firecrackers? Did you do? Did you have reunions over the summer like that, or?
Just as kids would go out and have a little fun with them. That's all.
Okay. So they didn't. It was later on when they started having fireworks like at Apple Creek or things like that.
Yeah, later on, but at that time when I was just young, it was nothing like that.
Okay.
Maybe we'd get a what do you call them? The pop. I forget what you call them now.
The Roman candles.
Roman candle.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they even had those.
Yeah, I
back.
think they did have a few of those, but they were quite expensive.
Mm-hmm. I bet they were something though.
Yeah, they were.
Wow.
And on the farm, you had to watch how you shot them off.
Oh, I bet catch something on fire, wouldn't
Yeah, you
you?
had to keep them away from the barn.
Oh, sure. Do you remember when you got your first tractor, or the family got the first tractor?
That was we didn't have a tractor really. The first power equipment that I can remember, what they called a whoopie.
Okay.
It was a truck, a pickup truck made over and fixed so you could use it to pull a harrow or drive or plow or something, and then we used that.
Mm-hmm. And I assume that was a lot better than the horses. I mean, did
It
you?
was faster.
Oh, faster. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
Okay. How about steam engines or steam tractors? Where did?
Oh, that was all done by at the thrashing time.
Okay.
That's the steam engine and the thrashing. That was another thing. The farmers all went together and worked together on that
Okay.
at thrashing time.
where would the steam track, was it local or would it come from some distance away and then you hired
Well,
it?
the people who did our thrashing, generally lived over on the Kidron Road, Bodditcher.
Okay. Bodditcher on the Kidron
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah. Yeah, they were the one. And then there was, later on, there was a couple Amish who started the business of thrashing. Like, they used steam engines.
Do you ever remember any accidents with the steam engines, or were they pretty safe?
The only thing I can remember, one time, the one Amish was thrashing for Stanley Iman and through the barn, and he evidently didn't watch the bearing on the thrashing machine close enough, and it got hot and started a fire and burned the barn down.
And burnt the barn down. Wow. Okay. There was a steam engine at the fair. Was it last year, Medina
Yeah.
County, that blew up? I was just wondering how safe or.
No, I don't remember of anything like that
Okay.
at all.
Okay. Well, that's good. Didn't want you to be around one.
Yeah, they all had safety valves on them, where if the steam got too high, it would just pop them off.
Let's see. Telephone. When did telephone come out to your house?
Well, yeah, that was a long time ago. I remember we had one, but it was a type you turn the handle, and if you depends on how you turn the handle, the number rings that went on the other side, the other wise, and then each family had their own call number.
And what was your call number?
I don't remember anymore. I don't remember what it was.
Okay. And when you talk, do you remember who would you talk to on the phone?
Well, usually your neighbors.
Using the neighbors? Okay. Now, was that something the mothers would do, or would everybody talk on the phone?
Most generally, it was my mother would talk on the telephone. She'd have something about that she wanted to talk to the neighbor about.
Okay. I didn't mean to say that women talk on the telephone all the time, but just curious.
That's all right. That's all right.
Running water. So we talked about the pump. The water pump was one of the first things you got, so you could have that running water. That would be important. I asked you about coal mines. Do you know any stories about any of the old oil wells or mills?
I don't remember anything about oil wells at all. I just kind of faintly remember about airplane once in a while,
Okay.
or dirigible.
So you saw
that was years ago.
but you can faintly remember dirigibles coming over then?
Yeah.
Okay. And then airplanes, you just faintly remember airplanes then?
Yeah.
Okay. How about the mill? I assume the main was the mill at Apple Creek, Studer's Mill, the main mill then?
Yeah, I worked there for I don't know how many years.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. I never did. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We made flour there, and we mixed feed for farmers, and it was an interesting place to work.
What was the power there? Did they use electric motors or was it gasoline engines?
No, it was a mechanical engine of some kind that they had. They had. Oh, I forget now what it was. Probably was fuel oil fed, but it was a big engine that run the whole thing.
I have a picture of I think it's dated 1932, and it was some sort of an anniversary at Studer's Mill, and I'll need to show that to you sometime to see if any of that brings back memories or not. I mean, do you remember when you would have been working at the mill?
Yeah, I don't remember what years it was. I have no idea what years it was.
Okay. Farm creation. How about I guess World War II? What was your life like during World War II around here?
Well, uh, to start out with, my brother and I took a course in mechanical. Well, it's not that isn't right. Uh, oh, in a machine shop work. I think it was down at New Philly or Dover, and from there we went over to Canton and worked at the Naval Ordnance Plant.
Okay.
And when I was over there, I worked on anti-aircraft gun barrels.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So you would hollow those out?
Yeah,
And,
yeah. I didn't see they come just cast solid, and they had to bore a hole through them, and then I had the job of finish boring it to the right size, and then putting the rifling in.
Mm-hmm.
On it.
That was a machine that cut the rifling in
Yeah,
that then?
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it had a tool that fit in, and it twisted as it went through, like that.
Where were you living at when you were working over there?
Well, we lived over there by Maslin at that time at the Walnut Hills housing development.
Okay. And then you
Then-
drove your
Then
car to work?
I quit over there and came to Worcester and worked at the Macintosh Hemp Hill, and evidently the board who controlled the conscription, the soldiers, thought I wasn't doing as much as I could, so they sent me to war.
So you sent you to war? So you were in World War II then?
I was over in Japan for 14 months.
Is that right? When did you go? I mean, what year did you get inducted?
I don't remember what year it was
40
anymore.
or 41 around there.
I know,
think
it was late.
around 41,
But
wasn't it?
About 45, about 44.
44.
I think.
Occupation. He was in the occupation force of.
Oh, okay, maybe.
You was born by that,
Yeah.
that time, yeah.
So the war was pretty much over, but yet you were over with
Yeah.
MacArthur, I
Yeah.
guess, when they were.
Really, the war pretty much ended while I was in training camp.
Okay.
That's when they used the atomic bomb on Hiroshima.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty well ended it
It
then.
sure did. And you were in the army then?
Yeah, I was in the army.
What was Japan like when you got over there?
Tokyo, you wouldn't believe it, but Tokyo and Yokohama looked like a burned out field.
Okay.
Just like the forests are now, where the forest fires went through,
Yes.
just burned them, but they were just nothing but acres of plain.
And that was because of the bombing that had been done ahead of time?
The incendiary bombs that they dropped on it.
Okay.
Because those buildings that they had were very flimsy.
Did they keep you away from Hiroshima and Nagasaki since the bomb was there?
No, I know. We were in a company that did repair work for them, like building up their roads.
Okay.
And I was driving a truck part of the time while I was over there, hauling gravel.
Okay.
And one of the odd things happened. We were there, and we stayed in a barracks that was built for the workers in the factory there. It was a two-story building, a very well-built building, and they had straw mats on the floor.
Okay.
And one night, some of the kids the fellows got to smoking and dropped a cigarette down in that. And the whole building went down.
Oh no. Okay. I'm
Now,
sure.
I bet that building was 40 feet wide and 100 feet long.
Oh my. So what did your commanding officer say about that?
Yeah, they moved us to another place.
Oh, really? Okay, so it didn't upset them too much then? Wow. What were the Japanese people like? Were they upset?
Most generally, the ones that I came in contact with were very friendly.
Friendly? Okay.
They were.
Did you learn any Japanese language when you were there?
No, I didn't learn it at all.
Okay.
No, it's kind of complicated.
Yes. Oh, yes. When you traveled over, then was it by ship, like a big?
Yeah. We went over by ship. When we were in training camp, we went from down. See, I was in training camp down in Alabama, and they shipped us to a place in Kansas, I think it was. Then they shipped us out to Oregon to a camp out there, then to Southern California. And then from there, they put us on board ship, took us up right along the coast over to Japan.
Okay. Wow.
And we were landed over there at Yokohama. It was, I don't, it must have been in the summer or early fall that we got over there. And then that's when I noticed that the buildings were so badly burned out. And and it was amazing what it was like.
You were pretty old, really, weren't you? Being in your 30s.
I was in the 30s.
Yes. So was that unusual? Did you feel like
No,
you
I
were
was.
old?
I think it's one of the oldest that they put into service. But I think it was all because I changed jobs when I did.
Okay. So the fact that you changed jobs, they figured it out.
Yeah, that's when they sent me in.
Okay. What I'm assuming you hadn't traveled much growing up. Is that right? So when you went over to Japan, that was quite an experience going across with a boat.
Yeah, that was quite an experience. Yeah. And then we were over there, and we part of the time we just did guard duty at an old factory there, and then we did repair work on their roads, and one of the funny things about it was whenever they shipped us back over here, we had the army gave us a very, very good supper. Then we got on board ship and it was rough.
Okay. I can imagine where the supper
fed the fish.
Fed the fish. That's probably a dirty trick they pulled, wasn't it? Oh my. Was your father in World War I, or he didn't have to serve?
No.
Okay. Did you have any uncles or relatives that served in World War I?
Yeah, I had one cousin who was killed over in France in invasion over there, and I don't know if there's any others or not. But in World War I had a cousin who was in training camp, and they were shifting him from one place to another, and they had to stand out in a real cold rain, and he got pneumonia and died from it.
Did he really? Who was your cousin?
In this country.
In this country, even.
Yeah.
What was his? Was he a Hackett also?
No, Hartle was his name.
A Hartle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was my aunt's son.
Okay. Died because they didn't have penicillin, I guess. Didn't have good medicine.
Yeah.
Wow. This is good. See where I'm at here. Do you remember, are there any stories like train wrecks or bank robberies or anything in the news that happened around East Union Township that we might ought to research?
No, I can't think of anything like that. No.
Everything was pretty much no problems
Yeah.
in that way. Well, that's good. You told me the almost train wreck where the car where they took the spare tire off. How about Doc Mayer? Did you have?
Mayor, yeah. he was a very good, I'd say a good doctor.
Okay.
And he uh, he was the doctor when Larry was born.
So he delivered Larry then?
Yeah. Mhm.
Was Larry born at home or was he born in a hospital?
No, yeah, no, it was at her parents' home over on Messner Road.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you have any? Did he treat you when you were sick? I mean, did he?
Yeah, I got this place right here where I had a big boiler, a carbuncle
Mhm.
there, and he opened it up and took that out.
Okay. And that was at a home or was that at a hospital?
No, that was right there in his office.
In his office. Okay. So he took it out and sewed you up,
Yeah.
sent you home. Okay. And you were okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like when you were sick? Did he make house calls? Do you remember, or like
Oh
maybe
yeah,
not
he
you?
would make house calls.
So you remember him coming to the house and?
And, I don't remember him coming to the house that we had to have him for anything. But it may be at one time or another we did. I don't know, but I don't remember of it.
Mhm. Who was the? Do you remember way back who the doctor would have been before him?
Yeah.
And there may not have been anybody. I don't know. I was just
No.
curious.
He may have been the doctor when some of the other kids were born, but they were all born at the hospital too.
And that would be at Worcester then.
Yeah, they'd been at Worcester.
Okay. All right. How about Jeff Carson in the drugstore? Do you have any?
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of the kids that went to school when I did worked part-time for Jeff Carson at his drugstore.
Okay.
And there's, I know of two of them that went on to be druggists.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. One of them was McCarthy. His dad used to be the president of the bank at Apple Creek.
Okay.
And the other one I don't know about. The Paul Maurer there at Worcester.
Mhm.
He may have been one of them too.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that. I think I heard that one of the Mauers from Worcester, worked there and then moved on.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, Paul Maurer was born in Apple Creek.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot to ask you what Doc Mayer was like. I mean, do you know what was he like as a person? Were you around him
He
much?
was a very nice fellow. I would say he's a very friendly fellow.
Okay. What was he tall? Was he short? Or
Oh,
what
he was just medium height.
just medium height?
Yeah.
Okay. How about Jeff Carson?
And
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Jeff Carson was a little bit shorter and a little bit heavier.
A little heavier?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Doc Mayer's wife was a choir director at our church for a long time.
Okay. Very good. So did you work for Jeff Carson then? You said some of
No,
the
I never
friends.
did.
You never did though.
No.
Okay. Did you go there for ice
Yeah,
cream?
I went there a lot of times to get stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember? I skipped over, but I guess did they used to have movies in downtown Apple Creek? Outdoor movies, or was that
I
later
don't.
on?
I don't remember. It seems to me they did it one time. There in the what they call the railroad park.
Yes.
I think that maybe they did.
So
Yeah.
that was probably past your generation. I mean, that would be Larry's generation then.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember for sure about that, but it kind of runs in my mind that they did have.
We mentioned the train a little bit about putting the milk on going to Akron. Do you have any other memories about the train going through Apple Creek or stories?
No, not. Only the depot was right where the post office is now.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And my aunt and uncle lived just across the street from there.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
And what was their last name? Was-
Hartle.
Hartle. Okay, the Hartles lived there too. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they used to live on a farm down here where the flasher light is,
Mm-hmm.
and you go south there. First run on the right hand side, back there.
Sound like where Dan Geyser's at now then.
Yeah, Danny Geyser owns it now.
Okay. Is that Maveen Hartle, or is that a different
No,
Hartle?
No, it
Or
was
whatever her husband's name was?
no Maveen. Let's see. I tried to place her.
Derb Hartle, was that her son or father, husband?
Son.
Son, okay, I guess.
Yeah, the name is familiar,
Mhm.
but I just trying to place where she fit in.
Mhm.
But
Did you ever ride the train?
no, I never did.
Never did.
Never did. No. Another thing, they used to have a electric car, just like a streetcar, that run from Worcester to Cleveland.
All the way to Worcester to Cleveland. Okay.
Yeah, and that was, and I remember about that. I've seen it running on the track already, but I've never rode it.
Okay. I bet that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. It was
All the way to Cleveland.
just like it's a streetcar run by electric.
Mm-hmm.
They had the wires overhead.
Mm-hmm. Sounds a little dangerous, actually. I mean, I wonder if anybody ever climbed up there and got shocked. But
Yeah.
but they were smarter back then. They didn't do things like that, I bet.
Yeah, and that railroad track down here used to be known as the CANC.
Okay. And what did that stand for?
I think Cleveland, Akron, and Cincinnati. I think, but maybe Cleveland, Akron, and Columbus, maybe.
Okay. Okay. The CANC Railroad then. Do you have any stories about any preachers or pastors over the years at your church?
Yeah, the minister who married us
Mm-hmm.
was he's still living.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh my.
And he just about a year or two older than I am,
Mm-hmm.
and he lives out at St. Mary's,
Okay.
Ohio,
Okay.
and but then the oldest minister I can remember of is old Reverend Fred Ezekiel.
Fred Ezekiel.
Yeah, he had a little goatee and a mustache.
Okay.
And,
What do you remember about him?
just that he was the first minister that I can remember.
Okay. That's amazing. Do you have a favorite one over the years, or just been so many? Or do you have a favorite minister over the years?
I think maybe Reverend Mextroth was and then another one was Reverend Hartman.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a very good fellow.
Do you remember, are there any interesting stories about weddings or funerals or anything
No,
like that?
uh-uh.
Okay. How about the Apple Creek State Hospital?
Yeah, that when they first started that, they bought up 1,000 acres just north of Apple Creek, north and northwest of Apple Creek, and when they built the buildings up there, Virgil Flory worked up there for quite a while.
Did he?
Yeah, he worked on some of those buildings when they were building them. And I remember whenever they first started having the patients up there, they had hand mowers. They mowed all that ground clear down to the Apple Creek Road.
The little
From the buildings,
the little push?
from the buildings clear down to the Apple Creek Road.
Is that right? With
They
hand
mowed it by
mower?
hand and those patients up there did the mowing.
So you would go by and just see lots of them
Yeah, you'd
pushing
see
up and down
maybe
the
3
hill?
or 4 guys out there mowing.
Got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes? Okay, I've got another tape if we run out here. And we're getting about done. Did you ever have anything to do with the residents? Were they ever in the
No.
community, or
No,
did they stay
I
up
never
there?
had, but I guess some people did have. They got, some of them would get away from up there, and they had a little bit of trouble a couple different times that I can remember of with the residents. And I don't know what
Nothing
happened.
directly affected you, though, where you
No,
were at.
nothing affected me.
I never did ask you what type of jobs you had. You did mention the mill.
Yeah. Well, I worked for the school district over here for 20 years.
Did you really? Okay. What did you do for the school district?
Well, at first I started out as a custodian.
Okay.
And then later on they had me in charge of maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did maintenance. See, the district takes care of Apple Creek, Holmesville, Mount Eaton, Fredericksburg, all those schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I had charge of maintenance and all those.
In charge of all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that where you retired from, or was that your last job, or was that in the middle? I mean,
That was kind of in the middle. Then I whenever I retired, then of course that took care of that.
Mm-hmm.
I that was 22 years ago, 23 years ago. I retired, something like that.
Mm-hmm.